Good evening, Bula Vinaka, Namaste. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I am Vijay Narayan, and as we continue our journey on looking at issues that matter to the people of Fiji and focused on accountability and transparency, we'd like to welcome our guest for tonight, the Honourable Minister for Youth and Sports, Mr. Jese Saukuru, who has taken out his time to come and talk on Fiji Village Straight Talk. And to talk about issues that matter. There's a lot that the young people are going through. There's a lot of excitement in the sporting arena at the moment. We're just days, into the Rugby World Cup. So we are really excited about how our team will do in this campaign. But there's other things too in terms of community sports development and other matters regarding minor sports and how the Ministry of Youth and Sports are looking at issues. So on behalf of our listeners and viewers, Minister, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Dola Vijay.
Dola.
Yeah. First of all, on behalf of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, I thank you. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here with you on Straight Talk, Fiji Village. It's an opportunity where we can talk to you about issues regarding youth in Fiji and sports. As you know, the Ministry of Youth and Sports looks after two important issues, two important things that are very dear to us, and that is youth development and sports development. Thank you.
Minister, just what age group constitutes the youth in Fiji based on the Ministry's definition of youth?
The Ministry's definition on youth is that the youth that are within the age of 15 years to 35. As you know, researchers have found out that we have a very young population in Fiji. They're saying that 70% of our population are less than 40 years. So we have a very young population. That's something good for Fiji. I mean, something we can capitalize on, because we have a very young population. People that can work, people that are energetic, can move our economy. So it's something for us to, as a government, that's an advantage for Fiji.
And a lot of work for your ministry to do to get that youth involvement.
Yeah.
Since coming into the ministry in December last year, when you were appointed as Minister for Youth and Sports, Mr. Saukuru, what did you notice as the major challenges?
It's been 250 days today, Vijay. 250 days from the 24th of December when we were sworn in, Government House, your coalition government. And it's not an easy task. 16 years was not easy. I found that coming into the ministry, it's a bit difficult. In the start, I've seen something that was not used to be there. We understand how civil servants were before. Very professional people, skilled and properly trained, professional in their own, because they were trained to be civil servants. They've gone through a lot of trainings. But when I came in, I've seen that the reluctancy of people to work with you. They were so close. I have to break the barrier. And I think a lot of that process is still happening now in most of the ministries, government ministries.
Is there a hangover from the past? Are they intimidated?
There's a hangover from the past. They used to getting directives.
So are they frightened as well?
People at the top are used to getting directives.
Not making decisions.
They can't make decisions.
So that's one of your major challenges.
In my first workshop we had in Lautoka with my team leaders, I felt that they were closed, not opening up. I was talking to a bunch of people that were just watching me, and I said, no, I'm Honorable Saukuru. It's a new government. Please open up.
Were they fearful that they may lose their job if they talk?
Maybe that's still an hangover from the previous administration, but I don't know. But that's the way we are at the moment.
Bigger issue at play here. If we continue to have those kind of civil servants, we will not have good permanent solutions.
But I'm so thankful now. We just returned from uprising, on my way from uprising this morning. And this is our third management meeting. And I've seen them open up. They started to open up. I've asked them, especially team leaders, now you exercise your managerial positions. You have the right to lead your team. Make decisions. I don't have to make decisions for you.
What are the other challenges?
The other challenge is that people are still confined to orders, like I've mentioned before. Yeah, and they follow orders to the very, what you can say, to be very exact with what the law says, or they can be very flexible. Sometimes like when you talk about people, in our recent workshop I've told them there are two different things when you talk about a manager and a leader. A leader, the person is paramount. Workers, people, because they are the ones doing the work. Otherwise, a manager is led by target. It's target driven. It's only target driven. But a leader will take into consideration the person that is actually doing the work. That's why people were frightened, because they thought, if I make a wrong move today, I might go home. Because nobody was there to take care. As I've said, when you are target driven, you sort of
forget about
the person.
Just a clarification on you said about the law, but you are talking about being flexible within the law.
Yeah, flexible.
Not
within.
unlawful actions.
Not unlawful.
So,
especially when it comes to human resource.
What are they scared of then?
I don't know, but I think it's just something to do with the experience they go through. We are human beings. When we go through certain experience, it stays with us, and all of a sudden we close ourselves from, and we are not allowing ourselves to be exploited or to be free, to make our decision, to make the right decision.
Well, in the end, you just hit the nail on the head earlier that we look at two of the main issues looked after by your ministry, youth and sports.
Yeah.
And that is what will suffer if decisions are not made. On to my next question, what are you doing and what will you do for more youth participation?
When you talk about youth ministry of youth, like I mentioned, our core role is simply youth development and sports development. When you talk about youth development, say for a small child born into a family, he's got talents. He's got a talent. That talent is given by God. That's God-given talents. And that talent was meant for him to earn his living from. Les Brown said that the most wealthiest place in the world or in our planet is the graveyard. Why? There are so many talents that are never utilized. So many talents They were never utilized. So it's a challenge for you and me, all leaders, starting with parents, teachers, talatala, ministers, leaders of organizations. We have to what I call, you have to be able to open and for that young person to open up and realize that the talent that is within him. They have so much potential. Until you realize that, until they open up and realize I have this talent. We are not be like Serebi. No, not all kids will be like Serebi. Not all of the kids will be teachers. They won't be policemen. They won't be lawyers. They have different talents. Until they realize the talents within them, that's your strength. And you can develop that to earn your living out of it. Otherwise, it won't be utilized. And where it's going to end up? If death calls earlier, it's going to end up in the graveyard.
My question on meaningful participation, because at the end of the day, you're saying the youth should open up and find out what they're good at. There needs to be avenues available for them to know what they're good at. If you do an analysis in any of the cities and towns, even villages in this country, there's no real youth activities, meaningful activities, or even career development centers where these youths can go, get information and build on that. How can you develop on meaningful participation?
For us, we're utilizing sports. In some way, we're using sports for that particular kid or that young person to realize the talent that he's got. A teacher will be doing the same thing in a classroom situation. He has to test every child in a class on mathematics. And when they go through tests, he or she will realize, oh, this one is strong in mathematics. This child is not so bright in mathematics. Or that's how we are testing and realizing the strength of an individual. And once you realize that, then come the next part. We have to segregate. We have to segregate our youth according to their potential.
What about those who are not interested in sports?
Yep. There will be some that are not interested in sports, but they have other skills, other talents that they have. Nobody, no child can say that he hasn't got a talent or skill, for that matter. We all born with talents. In the Bible it says it mentions 5 talents. But out of that 5, you can have one that is stronger, that is dominant over the others. You are a journalist, a reporter, very fluent in talking. I will not be the same as you. That's your talent.
So I'm asking you the question.
Yes.
Just in relation to, I raised the issue of youth-based activities in different places, in the cities, towns, villages, career development centers where people can go. Are you looking at those options maybe with the Ministry of Education?
Yes, we're doing. That's where our youth training center comes into play. Our youth training centers, we have 5 youth training centers. I'll talk about it. One in the south, one in Yavitu Kanda, which we are about to open. It was damaged during the cyclone. There are 2 in Wonolevu, one in Nalemba and one in Nangere. Free school fees, they don't have to pay anything. These training centers are safety net for our youth that drop out from formal education. Those that have lost hope, I don't pursue, given up on formal education, they can come through our system. We put them to Kandavo or to Nassau or to Honolulu to gain carpentry skills, if they have carpentry skills. Now, with the latest program that we just run lately regarding youth fair, what we've done, we've tried to link our unemployed youth with our employers in Fiji. We've done that. So we've completed the first phase of youth fair during the International Youth Day. Out of that, then we'll realize what are the skill gaps. The employers want this. They're demanding carpenters. And if our youths are not meeting up with the requirement of the employers, we'll have to measure it up by running programs in our youth training centers where it can empower our people, train them, and we put them back into the system, they can get employment.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
I've always resorted to drugs because of the work that I do as a coping mechanism.
You said you started sex work and drugs at the same time?
I was 12 years old.
Do you believe, based on the current situation, your salary and allowances should be reviewed and reduced?
Definitely, I think it should be reviewed to reflect what is there in the market.
Is the government of the day promoting nepotism within our community and hatred towards Indo-Fijians?
Thank you very much. The answer is no.
$1 in $3 of our taxes goes towards servicing our debt. So you can't say it's nothing.
There's also the need to do financial inclusion a bit better.
What is your message to the people who may rate you as not good enough for finals rugby?
Success doesn't just happen overnight.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan, brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Medical Services. Get ready to elevate your event with Total Event Company's top-notch gear hire services. From a stunning 12 by 12 meter adjustable stage and impressive 13 by 13 meter production roof, we've got your event covered. Our gear can fit any venue, big or small. Need tents? We offer 3 by 3 meter pagodas, 6 by 3 meter tents, and a grand 15 by 30 meter marquee tent. Turn your vision into reality. Choose Total Event Company for gear that makes your event shine. Visit the Total Event Company Facebook page or dial 3314766 to get in touch with us.
Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest for tonight, the Minister for Youth and Sports, Jese Saukuru. Mr. Saukuru, drugs and substance abuse is a real concern in our society. A lot is being said. We've had many guests on the show talking about the reality of the situation on the ground. Majority of the people involved who are victims of this, who are being targeted by the drug peddlers, are the youth. What's your assessment on the ground?
Yes, that's true. It's a concern for everyone, concern for cabinet as well. The new government coming into power. Like I mentioned, it's just 250 days being in government. And it's said that it's concerning youth, but we're looking at it in a different way. We're working with other stakeholders in collaboration with other government departments as well on how we can tackle this. I know police can do it on their own. We can't do it on our own as a Ministry of Youth and Sports. We have to work together. We just simply have to work together. And in my recent trip from Kandavo, Vijay, I just returned from Kandavo. I see that for me, I have my belief that we can combat, we can tackle youth problems in Fiji. Like I mentioned, well, that's where sports come into play. Now, before I go deeper into that, let me share with you. There are two things that always attract our youth. One is music. The other one is sports. If there's a gathering here, and all of a sudden, some say youth band plays outside, you'll see all the youth, they'll move to where music is. Or when they hear somebody kicking the ball, they'll run to that place because that's related to them. You know, these are the two things that attract them, our youths in Fiji. And I'm pretty certain that we can do that by using sports. When
using sports for people to get away from drugs?
Drugs. In 2009, I'll show you an example. 2019, our ministry donated gym equipments to Natumua in Kandau. On a village in Kandau, they all donated with gym equipments. And in my last trip, I went there. The success story is this: from Natumua, with that single gym, they were able to combine with other 3 villages using the same gym. And now they form a Nduabata rugby team. If one single gym can do that, just imagine if we construct rugby fields, rugby grounds around Kandau and open up gyms and equip them with sports gears, tackle bags. Let's pull them out of that activity.
You certain that based on that strategy it will happen in Kandavo?
It will happen.
You spoke to the people on the ground?
I spoke with people on the ground, but when, I was a teacher I went to teachers college as well. There's something called, when you call adolescent. The adolescent stage, Vijay, it's sort of a floating stage. At one point, this young person can be showing signs that he's an adult, smoking. But all of a sudden, when you see him at home, when he wants money from his father, he'll cry, showing that he's just a small kid in his home. That's the funny part about adolescence. And you have to anchor them somewhere. That's where, while they're still in that stage, fluctuating like that, if you put in sports, engage them in sports, you'll see they'll come out of other activities.
Oh, creative arts
Creative,
or
yeah,
other
creative
issues.
arts,
Some
yeah.
will be good in
Yeah.
academic work,
Yeah.
some creative arts. Why I'm hitting that
Yes.
point too,
Yes.
because over time,
Yes.
things like we have great rugby
Yes.
competitions,
Yes.
great athletics competitions this year, and we've seen some of the great creative arts competitions
Yes.
die because of lack of support.
Yes.
What will you do in relation to that?
Yes. Now we are complementing them with the opening of Yavitu Training Center. And we're going to run programs like repair of fiberglass boats, small engine repair, solar repair of solar units, carpentry works, joinery, things that are related to Kandavu.
For skills.
For skills.
What about music, art?
Yes, that's another one that I was missing
Knowing
out on.
your traditional meke, etc.
Yes. Our youth training center in Valley Levu is where we have the National Youth Band. Now it's been sort of a career path for kids wanting to move into army and police, navy, and correction, because they all have brass bands. That's where we taught them skills in music. And we have a studio. Even if a small a youth is willing or wanting to come and record, do recording on songs that he has developed, we can utilize the facility that is there in Valley. So it's all free.
Are you planning to do more apart from Valley Levi, because that's on the corridor here?
Yeah.
What about the other areas?
Yes, that's something we've been discussing lately.
Definitely you would have funding issues because budget is quite tight.
Budget is quite tight. We need to move Valley Level to other areas. We need to move the youth band to other areas. What we're doing right now is whenever I move around Fiji, I'm taking the youth band. So other youths will see them and know that there are other things that we can do that are more worthwhile.
We know that there's like other countries, donor countries, like the Vuvale partnership, the Duavata partnership. Is there an opportunity to look at them investing meaningfully in the future of Fiji by doing
as we talk,
funding these things?
As we talk, there's a donor country that will be donating agricultural equipments to us, and they're also supporting our music in Valley Level, our youth band. So they're supplying all the music equipments. I'm thankful to China. They've been supporting us in that. So today is the handover of the agricultural equipments, and later on they'll go supply us with the musical equipments to replace some of the old ones that we have in Valley.
On drugs and substance abuse, just going back to that, where do you think we have failed?
Yes, we have failed in the sense that we can provide something that can simply replace marijuana. If you want to take away marijuana, then I was saying, okay, but what can I earn a living? Suggest to me the alternative to marijuana. If you don't want me to plant marijuana, then you have to suggest to them what is the alternative, or
Okay, you're talking about the farmer there. So what is the alternative? Has the government looked at that?
Yes, for government, we're thinking of doing commercialization for medicinal marijuana, hemp. But that will be passed when still has to be discussed in cabinet for it to be discussed in parliament. Whether that will go along, I don't know, but something it's an alternative to look at. How we can...
You have to police it right.
Yeah, police it right.
And get your systems right to make sure you don't have the THC levels increasing to the level that...
Make sure that it's for medicinal purpose only.
It's hard to police if the other...
So in a way, we're trying to...
Okay, that's for the farmers. What about, so that's the supply issue you're looking at. What about the users to get them off marijuana, and what are some of the strategies that you're looking at?
Yes, like I said, for us, we're using sports and running programs like empowerment programs. We're taking our programs to the communities, or we take them to our training centers, engage them in other meaningful activities. We work with the Sports Commission. Sports Commission comes under the Ministry of Youth and Sports. We do training on referees and coaches, how we can do that to rural areas. I mean, they've done it in Kandavu and other islands, running courses that are sports related, for them to get accredited.
Glue sniffing is another issue. Police, we have had police on the show. They're saying that because it's not termed as illegal in our laws, they continue to just confiscate and just take it to the police station, and the same people, the young people, the youth, continue to appear again on the streets sniffing glue. Very dangerous, and people have been acting crazy out there after sniffing glue. You'd have seen videos and evidence of that. Are you pushing with other ministries to get this into the law, that you have strict policies in place for glue?
Yes, the only way we can discourage young people from accessing glue, I think, is that we do it at a policy level, where we can restrict it to certain age level, where younger youths don't have access to purchase glue from the shops. But still, you still can't control it, because there are other elements out there. People can still buy it for them. They can still use somebody to go, okay, buy the glue for me. There are things like that can happen.
How do you deal with it? Because there's a lot of young people getting hooked to it. Primary school kids even.
It's pretty sad, yeah. It's pretty sad. But a lot of awareness has to be done. A lot of awareness has to be done. Like I've said, in collaboration with other government departments, like Ministry of Health. How will this glue affect the life of a person? That's very important for them to realize. And the police and Ministry of Youth.
Is there a plan to have a concerted awareness campaign on some of these big issues? Because that hasn't started yet.
We have already started on one. That's to do with, I think you'll be asking me that later, regarding street dwellers. So we have started, and most of this sniffing of glue too are related to small kids on the street. So we are trying to address that right now, in collaboration, like I've said, working with other government departments, working with the police, working with social welfare.
Let's talk about that, the street kids and the street dwellers, and there's a lot of youth loitering on our streets. You have been out and about, not only here in Suva, but in the Western Division and other areas. If you can tell the people of Fiji what you have noticed, the real concern on the ground.
Vijay is quite sad. We were in the youth fair in Nandi. Let me tell you a story. We were in that youth fair in Nandi when we first started the International Youth Day. And for this year, we tried to make it different from the other years. So we linked employers to the unemployed youths. And somehow I had a chance to go down to Lautoka. I went to Lautoka. And I was shown this one vacant house in Waiawi, where 18 kids were staying there. 18.
How old were they?
The youngest was 12 years old. 12. And the eldest about 19. So I spoke with them. The youngest from Nailanga village in Ba. So I spoke with them and asked them, why are you here? Look at the situation here. It's unhealthy for you. You're still young. You still have a lot. You know? And you have a lot of potential. You have talents. I asked one of them, why are you here? He told me this story. My dad is a pastor, was a pastor, but he has passed away. I have family and sisters and brothers. I'm the only brother, only male, the boy. The others are sisters, his sisters, 4 sisters. Then why are you here? He told me the story. Somehow he interpreted it this way. With a roll of cigarette, over here, I share it with 20 of my friends. Yes. I can't find that home. That love, I can't find it home. I was so touched by what he said, and I asked him, you have any skills? He told me, I'm a singer. I can play keyboards, all musical instruments I can play. I'm a carpenter as well, but I don't have certificates. Then I took him, I told him, okay. I took him to Nandi. I told him, okay. Told my secretary, go get him changed to some new clothes. He came back, and I took him to our National Youth Band. They were playing. As I introduced him to them. He's one of our colleagues. Please give him a chance to. Then he was singing with them. Oh.
So he's part of the youth band now?
Now we put him to Pacific Polytech to get his certification.
How many other street dwellers did you manage to help?
The rest, like I mentioned, the rest now we're putting them through an empowering program, Seed of Success. They've completed that training. Now we are just looking for places now because our youth training centers, they've just run for 9 months. Now it's about, for those that are there, they they're in the last lap now. So you can't take them in, otherwise they'll be. So we're trying to put them to Pacific Polytech or some other training centers where they can. But the plan is that for our youth that are on the streets, we'll bring them in, we'll try and rehabilitate them first, because some of them are into drugs. We'll try and rehabilitate them first before we take them into our training centers. We are prepared to do that for our young people.
So that has started already?
We have started
in different parts of the country?
Yes. We have started with Lautoka. They've gone through those programs.
What's happening in Suva?
Suva, it will happen as well. We're just working on the numbers to bring them in and try and run empowerment programs.
Statistics have shown that the problem is that huge. Even like it was noted that even an 11-year-old boy who came from the Maritime Islands here in Suva is using meth and also dealing meth and being used by drug peddlers. There's two issues here. One, to work with the police to ensure these drug peddlers are taken to task. And the other one is about helping these children. How can we fix this problem?
Yes, that's true. One is to cut the root. So whoever's supplying meth, we have to cut it off. The other one, we need rehabilitation, Vijay. Rehabilitation centers. We have to realize the reality on the ground that our people are using drugs, illicit drugs, and some are pretty heavy. So we need rehabilitation centers to clean them up. They have talents, they have skills, but we need to clean them up. That was my concern when we were talking with other ministries, whether I can take them into my youth training centers. I said, yes, we can take them in,
you need rehab.
but we need to.
But there's no rehab, drug rehab centers in Fiji.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So what's the solution?
We managed to find few, not operating like what we expect, but at least they have something there. But it's something for government to work on.
Urgently work.
Urgently.
You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. We'll be back after this break.
I've always resorted to drugs because of the work that I do as a coping mechanism.
You said you started sex work and drugs at the same time?
I was 12 years old.
Do you believe, based on the current situation, your salary and allowances should be reviewed and reduced?
Definitely, I think it should be reviewed to reflect what is there in the market.
Is the government of the day promoting nepotism within our community and hatred towards Indo-Fijians?
Thank you very much. The answer is no.
$1 in $3 of our taxes goes towards servicing our debt. So you can't say it's nothing.
There's also the need to do financial inclusion a bit better.
What is your message to the people who may rate you as not good enough for finals rugby?
Success doesn't just happen overnight.
Fiji Village Straight Talk with Vijay Narayan, brought to you by the Ministry of Health and Medical Services.
Welcome back. You're watching Fiji Village Straight Talk. I'm Vijay Narayan. Our guest for tonight, the Minister for Youth and Sports, Mr. Jese Saukuru. Mr. Saukuru, just talking about parental negligence. There seems to be a real concern about that, about the number of children that are being found on the streets. One significant issue is being pointed out about broken families or people finding happiness outside the home. What are your thoughts on this and what can be done?
Vijay, we simply have to be proactive in this. I can't do much about parents now. Parents, that's gone. But I can still do something about parents, future parents, tomorrow's parents that fall within my ministry. It's a challenge.
How will you do that?
It's a challenge that I've been telling my team. Our task is preparing this young person. Remember, they will never be youth forever. No one will be youth forever. We are just preparing them, empowering them for their next level. What is their next level? Getting into their family, starting a new family. Before they do that, we must make sure that this young person is ready for that next level and is fully equipped. Got something there, can sustain him for the future. Can have a job, or by using his skills or talents, to sustain him or her for the future. But let's not forget, they won't be youth forever. So we have to change the mentality of those that are here with us. We are dealing with them now. Because once we do that, you have happy families for tomorrow. Another thing, when you address youth issues in Fiji, Vijay, if we are going to address all the youth issues in Fiji, Fiji will be the way the world should be. Fiji will be a better place when you address youth issues in Fiji. Because they're the ones that are doing
Preparing them for the future.
Yeah.
What are your plans for, there's been a high level of HIV/AIDS cases, you must have seen the statistics, majority of them are in the youth group. What are your plans with the Ministry of Health?
Yes. We have, within the ministry, we have our own SRHR unit. They look after reproductive health. So we are actively engaging with communities, going out to villages and communities on making our youths aware of their sexual health. Is very important for them to
Openly talk.
Yeah.
It's been stated by the Ministry of Health, they were here. It's very important to openly talk about
it.
Safe
Yeah.
sex
Safe
and sex.
Yes.
And the measures that need to be taken, because there's been a high level of unsafe sex which leads to HIV/AIDS. The other issue connected to HIV/AIDS is there's a lot of usage of syringes and needles now, the drug use. And just in the past few weeks, some of our people here are finding used syringes in the streets of Suva, which means one way this disease can spread also is by sharing needles. Are you doing some work on that?
Yes, hopefully, Vijay, once we tackle the issue of street dwellers, that will all come into surface, come up. It will surface. Then we can deal with it. Like I've said, it's about time that we really need rehabilitation centers in Fiji, because that's the only way we can address these issues, in a more professional way.
That's something that's cabinet discussing now, that you really need the drug rehab centers.
Yes, we've been asked by the Prime Minister to look into this on street dwellers. So we'll go back to cabinet once the report is ready on how we can address issues concerning street dwellers.
Just going back to the youth centers, you said there's youth centers, and you highlighted some of the youth centers that are around in the country, and there's other places within the urban, suburban areas where there may be issues and where there are larger populations. So are you looking at expanding your youth centers?
In areas where we have like city areas, like Saint Suba, we are working with police, community policing, on how we can address communities that are red zone areas, according to the police record. That's where we're coming in. We try and construct hard courts or playgrounds, give them sports equipments, engage them in other sporting activities. Like I've said, using sports to divert the attention of our youth in those areas from criminal activities to something worthwhile, something productive. And same time, we run empowerment programs and introduce them to trainings, like programs on, we run some programs in Suba on small engine repair and other empowerment programs that will assist them, help our people to engage in other activities apart from.
So for the youths that are watching out there, watching you as the Minister for Youth and Sports out there right now, if they're youth in any part of the country, where can they go to access information? If they say, okay, now I'm hungry to change, I would like to change, where can they go? Anywhere in Fiji?
We have our offices around Fiji. We have one in Lautoka, Nandi, Singatoka, Nabua, Suva, we have in Osori. We have one in Lambasa and one in Sabu. Apart from that, we also have assistant youth officers that exist in all parts of Fiji, Mbua, Madhuata, all those areas that are rural. We assign them to look after different areas, so to cover the whole part of Fiji. So, but apart from that, they can always come to our office and ask for assistance. That's something we're doing right now. We're trying to reach out to the youth population, like I mentioned, reaching out to them in their communities, in their villages, and run programs that suited for them within their vicinity.
There's also an issue about farming. There's a lot of land to get into agriculture, young people leaving the villages and where land is readily accessible and moving to urban areas, and a lot of people are saying you get good money in farming and you can make a livelihood out of it. What is being done to deal with youth to have that mindset?
Yes, we're doing that as well. Encouraging our people to involve in farming. We visited Kandavu, the last time I visited Kandavu. There's for Nyundua, there's a village up in close to Soso, Nyundua, right inside. They're planting rice. And they've asked us if we can assist them. Yes, we are going to assist them with machinery. Gone are the times for the spade and fork and knife. Maybe we assist them with machinery, rotavator. They can assist them in planting more rice. and for harvesting as well. We are so thankful to the Ministry of Agriculture coming in to assist our people on the ground. They've been giving us assistance as well. The Ministry of Forestry and Fisheries, they are also assisting us on that. It's targeted for youths in Fiji. That's something I'm thankful of, that, like I've said, the youth issue in Fiji is not confined to our ministry. It's something that we have to deal with it, because once we address it, Fiji will be a better place.
Sports development, you've talked a lot about sports development, how it's connected.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to hear that apart from sports, you're looking at creative arts and other issues. Before we go to sports development, the issue of skill shortage, brain drain, young people not wanting to get into certain jobs. You said the employers say they have a shortage in certain skill sets, and the demand is there, but the supply is not there. What is the solution that you're working out for people?
Okay, Vijay, I just mentioned that very lately we had our International Youth Day. It's always celebrated on the 12th of August. And for this year, we changed it around. We try and link, because our local employers have been crying because of the people moving overseas for employment. Some may call it brain drain. Well, our local employers have been crying for a while with looking for workers to come in. So what we did for the youth fair, we connect the employers, local employers, to our unemployed youths. So happy to report that more than 2,000 of our youths went through, registered through those the 3 venues that we had youth fair. We spent 2 days in Nandi, and out of that, around 20 of your young people were engaged at the same time, on the spot, get employed right there. So it was a success story. That local employers were happy, and our youth too were happy. Now what we've done, after completing that phase 1, we're trying to analyze it, from the data that we received on those that were successful. That's good, but for those that were not successful, where is the skill gap? We want to find where the gap is, from what the employers want and what our youths have. Where they have the skill gap, we are going to utilize our youth training centers to run programs that can
Meet the demand.
Out there. And we'll put them back to the system.
You have to work on this quickly, because there's a lot of shortage. Yes. I've heard of hotels running out of even housekeeping assistants, etc. Going out to nearby villages, calling them to come in.
So, with the meeting that ended yesterday, I already asked our managers in the youth training centers, now you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible in the sense that you have to run programs that are relevant, that are demanding, from the employment industry, not people that are wanting.
And have more youth centers as well in other areas.
Like for, say, Nassau. Nassau is running programs on carpentry and joinery and agriculture. I told them, since the West is predominantly for tourism, we better run some programs for tourism. We have to change. You really have to change it. Like, if we have to run housekeeping programs, we have to do it. Keep our youth, put them back to the system, get them employed.
Rugby World Cup is currently underway. It started on Saturday morning. Sir, your ministry is in charge of sports, and you have done a lot through the ministry, through taxpayers' funds, and through assistance in the budget in terms of rugby and being unifying sports as well for the country. What has the Ministry of Sports ensured to make sure that our team is well looked after in France?
Yes. For every Vijay, we have to put the budget together for important events like the World Cup. So for this World Cup, it has already been planned, and the budget has been accommodated through the funding that we provide through the sports, Fiji National Sports Commission. It's not only for rugby, but for other sporting bodies as well. It's there for minority sports. We have some funding too with the Prime Minister's Office for minority sports. But for rugby, yes, it's something, the reality is that they've been our flagship. It's something that has put Fiji on the world map. Rugby is associated with Fiji. And for this year, we have put in the relevant measures and funding to support our Fiji rugby team. And they've been sponsored as well from Fiji Water. So I don't see any reason why Fiji should we should be worried about the welfare of the Fiji team in participating in the World Cup. I think very soon something will be coming up as well. We're trying to invite other stakeholders, sponsors, if they can come in. Government is putting together something as tax incentives for those that will support our effort for the Fiji, for the World Cup. Fiji stands a good chance, and I'm inviting all sponsors, if you're willing to support the Fiji team, yes, support the Fiji team now. The government is also trying to put together packages to be able to secure further sponsors for our Fiji team.
Just quickly, you talked about minor sports. My final question, those who would be watching would also be interested in minor sports if they're involved in it. And I mean, there is a term minor sports, but no sport is minor. Of course, when we go into international competitions, a gold medal is a gold medal. Yeah. And so Pacific Games is coming up in November in the Solomon Islands, and we have many sports taking part in that. What's your message to the people on how the government is assisting all the sports in Fiji?
Like I mentioned, Vijay, we are prepared for every international meet, like the World Cup and even the South Pacific Games. We have already allocated funds for individual sports with the Fiji National Sports Commission. So I don't see any reason why we should be worried about that. Maybe it's not 100% funding, like some people may think it's partially funded by government, and the rest has to be funded by them.
Minister Jese Saukuru, thank you very much for your time this evening, for coming to the show for the first time. And the Minister has also assured us that he will be back on the show talking about these contentious issues regarding youth, youth development, sports and sports development. And we shall continue to address these issues until next week. Have a great evening.